Let's talk about Ola Electric. This is a company that's really defined by two extremes. On one hand, you have this absolutely massive, world-changing ambition. And on the other, a very harsh reality filled with public criticism and some pretty serious challenges. This is the story of what happens when a giant vision collides head-on with the real world. So to really get what Ola is all about, you've got to start with the scale. Just forget all the hype for a second and look at this number. As of late 2023, people have traveled over 2.6 billion kilometers on Ola scooters. I mean, that is just a colossal distance. It tells you that whatever else might be going on, these vehicles have a very, very real presence on Indian roads.
And that presence? It translates into a real-world impact. We're talking over 629 crore rupees saved in fuel costs for their customers. This isn't just about selling a product. It's about pushing a fundamental shift in how we get around. And that massive shift is really at the very core of Ola's grand ambition.
So what is that ambition exactly? Well, it's not just to be another vehicle manufacturer, not even close. Ola's stated mission is to make India the global epicenter of the entire electric vehicle revolution. Not just a player in the game, but the actual hub for the whole world.
And this quote right here, this is straight from the horse's mouth. And man, it says everything you need to know about their mindset. It's bold, it's declarative, and it really sets the stage for everything they're trying to build. This isn't just about the Indian market. The vision has always been global.
So how do you even attempt something that huge? For Ola, the answer has been pretty clear. Build everything, build it yourself, and build it at a speed that's, well, it's almost unheard of in the auto industry.
Okay, so the beating heart of their manufacturing is the Future Factory. We're talking about the largest integrated electric two-wheeler plant in India, sprawling across over 400 acres. This whole thing was built to achieve a scale that could genuinely disrupt the entire market. But, the scooter itself is only one part of the equation.
Because here's the thing, the vehicles are really only half the story. The real key to any EV, the part that matters most, is the battery. And that's where the Gigafactory comes in. Its whole purpose is to mass-produce advanced battery cells right here in India, breaking that dependence on foreign suppliers and letting them control their own destiny.
And what's driving all that battery tech? Well, that's where the Battery Innovation Center comes in. This is the R&D brain of the entire operation, where they're designing the next generation of cell technology. It's a super clear strategy. If you own the core tech, you own the future.
Now, this slide is where things get kind of crazy. Just look at the timeline. The sheer velocity here. From breaking ground on the factory to starting S1 Pro deliveries took them just 9 months. 9. Then they opened their first store, started building the Gigafactory, and now they've got motorcycles planned for 2025. This is a company that seriously does not like to wait around.
And all that speed, it's not just about pouring concrete. It's powered by a massive investment in brain power. We're talking nearly 1,000 employees just in R&D, hundreds of patents filed, dozens of designs registered all over the world. This just reinforces that their strategy isn't about assembly, it's about deep, in-house innovation.
But, and this is a big but, this is where the story takes a really sharp turn. Moving that fast with such a massive vision has created some serious friction. That grand ambition has collided head-on with a much harsher reality of public scrutiny and some significant growing pains.
And this quote from an industry expert, wow, it just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It brings up a super critical question. Was Ola expanding too quickly? Were they trying to build a future on a foundation that wasn't quite solid yet? It's a powerful critique of that whole move fast philosophy.
And look, this skepticism isn't just talk. You can see it in the numbers. The market has been pretty skeptical. The company's stock has seen a significant fall from its 52-week high. That shows some very real, very tangible concern from investors about whether Ola can actually resolve these core issues.
And right at the heart of all that concern, it's the customers. The Central Consumer Protection Authority has been reviewing over 10,000 customer complaints. Now, Ola says they've resolved over 99% of them, but the sheer volume of complaints and the fact there's an official investigation, it just highlights the scale of the customer service challenge they've been up against.
So what do? You've got this gigantic ambition on one side and this crushing public and market pressure on the other. This is that moment where a company either breaks or it adapts. And for Ola, the response has been a very deliberate, very strategic pivot.
And this right here, this is the crucial shift. In their own words, they've moved from a strategy of aggressive penetration, which basically means growth at all costs, to one of balanced, profitable growth. It's a fundamental change in their whole philosophy, really, a move towards building a sustainable, long-term business.
And you can actually see this pivot paying off in their own numbers. I mean, just look at the change in a single quarter. Deliveries are up, which is great, but more importantly, the margins have totally transformed. Gross margin almost doubled. And the auto EBITDA margin, which is basically a measure of their core operational profitability, it improved dramatically from a staggering negative 90% to just negative 11%. This is a company that is aggressively getting its financial house in order.
So how'd they pull that off? Well, it wasn't magic. They've laid out a really clear three-step path. First, they're improving the product itself. Their new Gen 3 scooters have a 60% lower fault rate, which means fewer unhappy customers. Second, they're doubling down on their in-house tech, like developing motors that don't need rare earth minerals to cut down risk and cost. And third, just disciplined cost-cutting, slashing their monthly operating expenses by a huge amount.
So that brings us right here to today. You've got Ola Electric, a company caught between two incredibly powerful forces, its own unwavering, world-changing ambition, and the very pragmatic, very demanding realities of the market, its customers, and its investors.
And that leaves us with the one big question that's really hanging over this whole story, right? Can this pivot, this new focus on profitability and just making things work better, finally bridge that gap? Can they build a solid, reliable foundation that's strong enough to actually support that sky-high ambition?
You know, I want to leave you with this one last thing. This line from Ola's own manifesto. It tells you that despite all the challenges, the stock drops, and the criticism, the company's core belief hasn't really changed one bit. They still see themselves not just as participants in the future, but as its architects. And whether they ultimately succeed or fail, that relentless drive to make the future is what's going to define their next chapter.